regime. Now, Emmett Miller.
The lights over Arizona will not go away. Ever since March, when We Here at Strange Universe broke the story of the Phoenix UFOs, it just keeps getting stranger. First, the military denied there was anything in the skies. Now, after our latest investigation, they've changed their tune. But it hasn't done anything to change what's mushrooming into a war of the worlds. After all these months, after all this time, the government says it finally has the explanation for those lights that appeared over Arizona back in March.
And I can just tell you that our planes were out there. They had a number of leftover flares on the aircraft. Each aircraft had to make one final pass over the range to jettison those flares and get rid of them. People could have mistaken these flares for some kind of unidentified object.
Simple enough, but to many, it's just too little, too late, after too many denials. Just more wind in a desert storm.
If these were flares, or if it was a hoax, or if it was a military operation, we would have people coming forward and saying, yes, they were flares, and we did them, and they're right here. What we have is the opposite.
So if they're extraterrestrial, then they've been out here demonstrating every night. It's just a coincidence.
The thing that has me the most curious is, why isn't anybody else curious about this? Why is everybody else afraid to even talk about it?
It's a strange sequence of events that leads to the Air National Guard's recent announcement, one that began March 13th and is still a long way from finality.
No, over here, there's four.
When those mysterious lights were first seen and videotaped, we at Strange Universe gathered up many of the witnesses. They knew what they saw. They knew what they had on tape. And they wanted to know why the rest of the national media was ignoring the story.
I want to know what's going on.
Then came the 50th anniversary of the Roswell incident in June. Suddenly, everyone wanted to run UFO stories. Arizona was sitting there, waiting. The networks finally showed the videos. USA Today wrote an article. Everyone got into the act. Even Arizona's governor, Fife Symington. After months of silence, he suddenly announced a full investigation into the Phoenix lights. Or so it seemed.
Don't get him too close to me, please. This just goes to show that you guys are entirely too serious.
Francis Barwood of the Phoenix City Council was not laughing.
I don't know what his purpose was, but I think that, to make a joke about something that so many people take serious, whether it's a hoax or not a hoax, the thing is that people saw this. And by doing that, he did the same thing that everybody else does, which is make people afraid to say what they saw.
Her fellow politicians called Francis Barwood a crackpot.
Well, the mayor and his chief of staff apparently made up business cards, and they had my name on it, and it said from the planet Xenon, and it said, talk into the tin foil and she will hear you.
The governor and the mayor may have thought their jokes would make the story go away, but they did the opposite. They lit the fire, and others started fanning the flames. The Air Force went on record claiming it had nothing to do with and knew nothing about the lights. The National Guard was even more adamant.
All right, the summary statement says, to the best of my knowledge, no member of the Arizona Army National Guard or Arizona Air National Guard shot off or dropped any flares on the night of March 13, 1997.
Jim Dilettoso is one of the best-known UFO video analysts in the country. He began running the tapes through his computer.
There are 5 videos that we felt were worthy of analysis. We test for flares, we test for airplane lights, hail bop, planets, the moon, hand grenades.
Jim Dilettoso and his art director Michael Tanner compared computer-generated images of flares with the lights shot by witnesses.
So now we're grabbing another frame of video. This is from Chuck Reardon, taken on March 13th also. So now let's go over here and look at the flare. The flare looks completely different.
This was either all ET related. either all government-related, super secret black projects, or perhaps a combination of the two. We've considered that.
Arizona has a chapter of the Mutual UFO Network, folks who investigate UFO sightings. You'd think they'd be excited by the military denials and the findings of Jim Dilettoso. You'd think wrong.
Actually, when the very first broadcast ran on an NBC affiliate here, that I said the chances of what we had looked like flares to me.
Richard Motzer of Arizona MUFON still subscribes to the flares.
We looked up the manufacturers of these flares, and they're on for approximately 3 minutes and go off, and it's exactly what all these do, all the nights. So, you know, it'd be a real coincidence if there's an ET that clicks on for 3 minutes and goes off.
But we listen a little closer. We hear a different tone in Richard Motzer's voice. It seems he has a bone to pick with Jim Dilettoso.
Well, I published a paper. It's out this month in the UFO Journal. He's not published anything. All he does is talk about things. Things that I don't think can be verified by an independent person that would have the same technical background.
Dilettoso says Motzer is not an impartial investigator, but a cynical skeptic.
In fact, skeptics, I believe, are committing intellectual violence by coming forward just to smash the stories and prove that all of these people are lying and mistaken.
But Dilettoso says he's got bigger things to worry about, like further analysis of the tapes.
Inevitably, we wanted to move this theoretical model object and see if we could get a match on the various videos that were shot.
He says he's got a match and uncovered startling new evidence of a UFO mothership.
In some of the videos, we have a single bright light that is kind of recessed away from the other lights, and this large light in the center may lead the other lights. We have some witness reports that have indicated that the trailing lights literally separated, flew off on their own, and came back and redocked.
It seems exciting video, but whether anyone in power authorizes an investigation is another story. And despite the Air Force claim that it was only flares, the search for the truth will continue.
I will probably keep pushing till I get some sort of an answer, even if it's where, you know, we're not going to respond. But then if that's their final answer, everybody's going to know about it.
My gut feeling is it'll turn out to be some type of military operation.
Remember, witness reports, eyewitness reports are sufficient evidence in a court of law to sentence a man to the electric chair. So in this case, we have reliable witnesses that if they were to sit on the stand and prosecute someone for a capital crime, they would be believed.
Keep you updated.